Chapter 242, Luring the Snake Out of Its Hole. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. Today was the last day of the 3 days Longhu battle. Zhu Tu rushed over after breakfast. On the third day of the ranking battle, the tempo had clearly slowed down. In the morning of the first day, the 10 arenas basically did not have any free time. There were constant challenges. For a period of time, there were a few rings where people queued up to enter the arena. The second day was still alright. There were people constantly going on stage to challenge the rankings. However, on the third day, the challenges became rarer. At 9 o'clock, the competition had already begun. However, among the 10 arenas, only Arena 1 and Arena 2 had a challenge. The other arenas were temporarily empty. It was not that the students had lost their fighting spirit. After 2 days of challenges, all the students who could obtain a ranking on the Longhu list had fought their way out of dozens of battles. They were really powerful. Moreover, the students with similar strength to them had already challenged them several times in the past 2 days. In the 2 days of challenges, the first-year students basically had a clear understanding of their strength. There were very few students who went on stage to challenge others to increase their combat experience. It was not that he did not want to, but he did not dare to. On the third day, the students who could still stand firmly on the Longhu list had already started to protect their food. For example, there was a difference in strength between the two students in the extreme branch, A and B. A was stronger while B was weaker. In a normal battle, A and B would fight 10 times. A could win 8 or even 9 times, but as long as B found the right opportunity, he could still win once or twice. This kind of actual combat training was acceptable during normal training. However, the students guarding the Longhu rankings were definitely not allowed to do so. You challenged me 10 times in a row and treated me like an experience bag. You even bet on the probability of winning once or twice to kick me off the Longhu list. This is absolutely unacceptable. What should I do then? I'll give you a heavy blow. I've already stabilized my ranking on the Longhu list, yet you still rushed over to try your luck. Who else would I injure if not you? For such a person, the student defending the arena on the Longhu list did the same as Zhu Tu. They would break their legs or arms. This method was the most effective. Whoever dared to challenge him would be severely injured if they had the chance. On one hand, it was intimidation. On the other, it was also to prevent them from taking turns to challenge him. Although he could replenish his physical strength by drinking the Level E Energy Restoration Elixir, the recovery of his energy field energy was not fast. There was no need to mention the Mystery Branch. It would be even worse if his mind power was exhausted because he no longer had any combat power. Whoever dared to go on stage with the thought of exhausting the strength of the defenders to pave the way for the next challenger would have their legs and arms broken. There was no room for discussion. Under such circumstances, there were even fewer challengers. Every challenger had to think carefully before going on stage. Of course, there was also suspense. The students who had already hung their names on the Year 1 Longhu list would look in the direction of the supernatural branch from time to time. The 23 students gathered around Wen Xiao from the supernatural branch were their true threat. Once those students went on stage to challenge, at least a dozen of those who were already on the rankings would be eliminated. There was only one empty spot on the Year 1 Longhu list. Year 1 Dragon was empty. Even the number 1 genius of the extreme branch, Peter, did not dare to challenge for the position of a first-year dragon. He obediently stayed in the tiger's position and did not dare to move. He was not a coward. As the number 1 genius of the extreme branch, Peter really wanted to fight Zhu Tu. Although he knew that the probability of him losing was too high, he still wanted to know the difference between him and Zhu Tu. However, he had to consider it. Zhu Tu's previous 2 attacks were very simple: break his opponent's legs. If Peter challenged Zhu Tu and had his leg broken, not only would he lose his current position as the tiger of the first year, but he would also not have the chance to challenge Zhu Tu's position again before he recovered from his injuries. During the time he was recuperating, a very important individual comprehensive assessment would begin. The ranking on the Longhu list was a huge bonus. Although after he had recovered from his injuries, he could still undergo a personal comprehensive evaluation in advance. He would miss out on the reward for the entire school's individual comprehensive evaluation. That represented cultivation resources for the present and even the future. There was no need to talk about fairness. The opening battle of the Longhu list was actually a part of the assessment, which includes the strategy of challenges, the distribution of stamina, recovery of strength, logic, etc. Therefore, Peter was very envious of the position of the first-year dragon, but he was also very rational. He would eventually fight Zhu Tui, but not today. Now, he was just waiting for the ranking battle to end. He would break the legs of anyone who dared to challenge him, just like Zhu Tui. Zhu Tui frowned in the stands. It was not easy to break Wen Xiao's plan to stall for time. He had not thought of any good methods within the rules. Whoever used it outside the rules was a fool. Brother, I know your goal. Professor Wen's delaying technique is indeed very useful, but it can also be broken. I have a small solution. Chai Zhao could be considered a well-informed person. The news that Zhu Tui had forced the supernatural branch to be unable to participate in this year's ranking battle had already spread, so he naturally knew about it. He was here today to stand up for Zhu Tui. Actually, Chai Zhao had already come over yesterday. He had communicated with Xun Ziking yesterday. As they were talking, the energetic young man, Xun Ziking, came over. He handed Zhu Tui and Chai Zhao a bottle of fairy water of happiness. Tell me about it. Zhu Tui also wanted to hear Chai Zhao's opinion. After all, different people had different ways of dealing with events. Didn't Professor Wen try to stall for time with you? He planned to arrange for his students to challenge the rankings in the last 15 minutes to obtain a ranking. We can do the same to him, Chai Zhao said. How do I play it? It's very simple. It'll help you find 50 students from the extreme branch. 20 minutes before the ranking battle ends, it'll get them to line up in the 1st to 10th arenas to challenge. There will be 5 people in one arena. After everyone started the challenge, they would stall for time in various ways. It should not be a problem for each person to use 3 minutes. We will let the students of the supernatural branch unable to enter the arena and stare helplessly. At this point, Chai Zhao smirked. This way, even if Wen Xiao doesn't die from anger, he will vomit blood. Zhu Tui was stunned. This method sounded feasible. However, the problem was, would those 50 first-year extreme branch students be willing to be their guns? Will they do it? The students from the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College were not stupid. Not many people would be willing to be used as a gun, or even risk having his legs and arms broken by the defending fighters. This how do you know if you don't try? Chai Zhao was stumped by Zhu Tui's question. He scratched his head awkwardly. There might be someone. Brother Zhu, Brother Chai, I can help you solve this problem. I'll come forward and give each of them a bottle of level E energy restoration elixir as their labor fee. I can even find 80 people for you, let alone 50. After all, the first-year students in the school don't have the ability to earn money on their own. If they don't have a good family background, they will be very tight on money, Xun Ziking said. Chai Zhao's eyes lit up. This method is suitable. It's quite good. It's just that the money spent is a little too much. It costs 200,000 to 300,000. Forget it. Zhu Tui looked at Chai Zhao and Xun Ziking, who had suggested using money to bribe their classmates. Mr. Wen Xiao can't wait for me to do this. As long as I dare to use this method to rope in students and influence the opening battle of the Longhu list, the disciplinary division will take me away before the opening battle ends. At that time, not to mention a warning, even a detention would be considered a light punishment. Chai Zhao smacked his lips when he heard this. That's true. It's a trick within the rules. However, it's still very difficult to fool 50 to 60 students with just words. Unless a professor from the extreme branch gives the order to make arrangements, but that's unlikely. Brother Zhu, why don't you go big? Xun Ziking, who had just been despised, suddenly said. How? Zhu Tui asked. Go on stage now and start challenging the 90th place on the Longhu list. Sweeping your way up, you will break the legs of all the current arena lords on the Longhu list. You alone will occupy the entire Longhu list. Not only would you be impressive, but even at the last moment, if Wen Xiao's students wanted to obtain any ranking, they would have to challenge you. If one of them comes up, you can break their legs. At that time, they will be the ones in a hurry. Old Jung, according to the rules of the Longhu list, a person can only occupy and obtain one ranking. If Zhu Tui breaks the legs of an extreme branch expert, there would soon be a weakling who would be able to make up for the lower ranks. At that time, it will only be easier for the supernatural branch to challenge the rankings. Chai Jiao interrupted Jung Ziking and patted his shoulder. Moreover, not to mention that your method won't work. Even if it does, it will be a huge pit. It can't be done. Jung Ziking did not understand. Old Jun, are you planning to make me the public enemy of the entire school? Zhu Tui's faint voice rang out. Moreover, the extreme branches students on the rankings are considered my allies. I can't casually poke at the privates of my allies. Jung Ziking was stunned for a moment before he understood. Jung Ziking and Chai Jiao also fell silent as they racked their brains for a solution. Zhu Tui silently opened his personal communication device and entered a message. Huang, according to the school's evaluation rules, has the individual comprehensive assessment completed? It's completed, under normal circumstances, with the number of abilities you currently have, and the individual level evaluation you might obtain, in addition to the bonus points and other points from your first-year dragon. Your overall score is far higher than the second place. However, that warning punishment directly lowered your individual level. The higher the level, the higher the score. Similarly, you would be directly reduced by a level, so the points would be greatly affected. Currently, according to the big data I obtained, you are ranked second overall among the freshmen. You are still ranked first in the mystery branch. However, the difference between you and the second, third, and fourth place students is not more than 20 points. Therefore, in your current state, if you still want to get first place in the individual comprehensive assessment, you need to find other additional points, Huang said. Give me a list of the bonus items or channels I can conduct at the moment. Currently, under the school rules, there are a total of 5 items or channels that you can participate in. The details and points have been sent over, Huang said. Zhu Tui opened his communication device and carefully read the message Huang had sent him. After reading it twice, his gaze landed on the second bonus item. He thought for a moment. A few minutes later, Zhu Tui stood up and suddenly walked toward the arena. Jung Ziking and Chai Jiao, who were still racking their brains for a solution, looked over at the same time and asked, Brother Zhu, what are you going to do? I'm going to challenge the rankings and lure him out. Zhu Tui looked in the direction of Wen Xiao and laughed. At the same time, this is also the most feasible solution that I can think of. After saying that, Zhu Tui headed straight for the Longhu arena.